Welcome to another edition of Kicking It 316. And on tonight's show, we're going to start off with our Kick It or Pass It portion, highlight some shoes. Then we'll slide to the It portion, give you all an update on the Chauvin trial, some phone tag dealing with that KD and Mike Rappaport situation. And then the highlight of tonight, the journey, overcoming a culture of hurt. We got some great guest hosts lined up for you all, and we can't wait to kick it with you all. Let's go. What's up, everybody?
What's good? What's good? What's good?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We're here for another edition of Kicking It 316. Y'all pick up, man. What's up? What's up, man? Whoa.
Some feedback going on.
Got some feedback. Man, what's going on with y'all this week, man? What you got going on, Ted? Man, what's good with you, man?
Yeah.
Man, just here grounded brothers, just trying to stay above water. You know, it's hard out here, man. Trying to stay well in this Florida weather. It keeps switching. It was 46 degrees the other morning. I got up, and I'm like, where did this come from? I'm here though. Happy to be here with y'all.
Yes, sir, man. Tell the people a little about what you all did this weekend, man. I know Mom Dukes had you up and at it, man.
Yeah, so we went down to a local apartment complex. We call them less fortunate kids. We set up a couple tables with food. We handed out hot dogs, French fries. Hot dogs, chips. My sister has a dessert little business she has, so she made some candy apples. So we hand out candy apples. We had bags for the kids with a coloring book, Christ Center coloring book, a wristband that had a memory verse on it, a scripture, just a scripture on it, pencil and some other stuff. For the adults that came out, we had some literature for them, and we just we're planning to just do something nice for kids in the community on Easter. It was a good turnout, so we're just blessed to be a part of that.
Man, that's what's up, man. KP, man, I see the hat, man. I've been seeing these for a couple of weeks, man. Tell the people what's going on with the hat, man.
Yeah, man. We're trying to get this brand off the ground, man. Kingdom Fit, the shirt, the hat. We moving into merchandise, y'all. And we listen, Kingdom Fit. We're gonna have a whole Kicking It line too. Okay. So it's on this way. It's on this way, man. I had a great weekend. I don't know about y'all. I had a really good weekend. The weather was good. There was nothing crazy going on. And right now, the Knicks are competing with the Nets. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place.
That's what's up. Competing? Are they gonna win it all, man? What's going on?
Don't do that. Hey, Dad, look, we down one we down two with 5 minutes, man. So I'm in a good place right now,
Gio, well, bring us up to speed, man. What's good with you, man?
We were up 18 yesterday to the Denver Nuggets, and they came back and spanked Orlando still. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe. I'm just giving you this little. But honestly, man, this has been a good week for me. Turned 40 on Tuesday.
Hey,
big 4-0.
Oh, head.
40 club.
And I'm looking at all my fellow 40-year-old on this. Yeah, we still young and still got it going on. And so it was good, man. My family and I, we were able to go down to Hilton Head, South Carolina. We were able to dabble in some good old Southern barbecue cuisine, and it was awesome, man. We had a good time, and now I'm back on this side of 40. I made a promise to one of my friends that being 40 means I got to actually be serious about my health. So, Croc Kicks and I have actually started sharing our iWatches so that he can make sure that I go to the gym every day. Encourage me to go to the gym every day. So I'm trying to lose some weight, man. So if you want to share your iPhone watch activity band with me, let's get it. My goal is to every week when I come on to let somebody know about my updates, if I'm making gains, if I'm losing weight, whatever the case may be. But y'all keep me accountable.
Cool, man. Listen, man, we're about to get this thing started just right. But before we do, let's go ahead and hit that like button. hit that share button. We want to get the word out, man. We're competing against some other forces, man. We know what's going on, man. The national championship is getting ready to kick off, man. But we here, man. We here to kick it with you. How are our guests, man?
You want to bring them up?
Let's just go ahead and just let's bring them out here, man. Bring them out.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
All right.
Hey.
Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. You're no stranger, and this is one of our guest co-hosts tonight. Go ahead, tell the people about yourself.
Hey, y'all. Y'all know me, Lavina.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Come on now.
Rewind.
Yeah.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Doctor C. Right is her name. Doctor.
Okay.
And I'm getting. They want me to.
All right. So we got Dr. C right in the house, and now we have. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Candace.
Hi, is it my turn? Hello, everybody.
It's your turn.
My name is Candace, and I am one of the halves of Bombersations. We have a little talk show, and what else should I say? I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're an entrepreneur. You got any businesses or anything you want to just quietly put out there?
I am. I have my own hair and skincare line, Afro Essentials. That is everything. You can follow us everywhere, Afro Essentials. And the website is www.shopafroessentials.com. And yeah, that's it.
That's what's up. And I am a customer. My whole family wears Afro Essentials, man. I put it in my beard. Yes, it's safe for your face, man. We love it. Wifey's on it. Even the boys are on it. So we thank you all for that. Who else do we have in the backstage, Gio?
We got the one and only Dr. Pastor Deblier Snell, Florida's finest. What's going on?
What's going on? He's muted.
You're muted, Doc.
Oh man, I was so excited, man. I got ahead of myself, man. I'm just so honored, so honored to be here tonight. Glad to be in the house. I'm a big fan of the show, so just glad to share in the space. I do want you guys to know that I wore something special just for Shay tonight.
Oh man,
can pick this up here.
It's okay.
Is that?
I wore it just for Shay.
Is that a Michael Jordan jersey?
No.
It says 23.
It's okay. Listen,
it's the GOAT. So
about three episodes, I went ahead and put it out there. LeBron James is the GOAT. I said it on the air. He is the greatest of all time. So I'm good with it. And just for you, man, we got a special shoe. Today.
It makes sense now. It makes sense now.
Is Kirsten back?
Let me see. We're still having some technical difficulties with her, but if we can get her audio on, if she has a phone, she can probably just do it through the phone as well. I know it's not ideal, but it might work.
Okay, we'll work on that. All right, y'all. We're gonna start off with our kick it or our passive portion of the show. This is the part where we deal with the shoes, some shoes that are coming out. We got a very stacked lineup tonight as far as content. So we're gonna breeze through these shoes, man. Up first, we got the Jordan 35. I don't even really like new J's, but lately, y'all, he's been coming with some heat, man. And here we got the Jordan 35 Smoke Gray. These are going to drop on the 8th of April at $175 price point. This comes with Zoom air cushioning, OG details mixed with modern technology. What are y'all thinking about this shoe? Is this something that you would kick? You'll wear it? Or is this a pass? Like you ain't gonna see it, not on your feet, not on your man's feet, ladies. It's not on the kids' feet. What are y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna kick this or pass it?
That's a strong pass for me, brother.
Strong pass. Okay. All right, Gio.
No look pass.
No look pass. Candace.
Okay, so I'm just going to be on the other side of things. I don't know, but I do want to say that, I mean, if you swagged out and you wear it with confidence and you know what you're doing and you put your pieces together, you might be able to pull it off for those who like it. Okay. But I don't really know.
Okay. I'm feeling that. Lavina, Dr. C. Wright, talk to us.
I would put it on a kid's foot. I think it looks cute on some small feet. Yes.
I like that. I like that. I like that. KP.
Yeah. I'm with Lavina, man. If it's at the outlet mall in the kids section, I'm about
She
it.
didn't say all that.
But am I gonna wear it? No, it's a hard pass for me, man. It's a hard pass.
Yes, sir. Pastor Snell, man. What about yourself, man? It's something you kick
No.
passes.
No, I'm with the majority tonight. I'm going to pass on that. But no, but it's not for aesthetics. I think it looks all right, with the right, with the right combination. But yeah, I was telling Shay last week, but the narrow Jordans.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that.
Yeah,
you did say that, man. Honestly, man, this is a shoe that I would kick, man. If you could pull that shoe up again, man.
You said honestly, you'd kick this?
I would kick it, man. Listen,
Kick
that
it.
first of all, that suede is butter.
Yep.
It's butter. The suede is butter, and then I think that's infrared on the tongue. Yeah, I
Is
could
that-
rock. I could definitely kick this, man.
Is that a speaker on the bottom? Like, is that a Bluetooth speaker? What is that?
Listen, man, you got to be able to step into the future, man.
They're doing this
what is that
whole
about?
this whole little thing on the arch. I don't like
Listen,
it.
That's
Yeah,
all
bro.
we said the same thing when the bubble came out, man. This is a new technology, man. This is
Is it?
I'm
Okay.
I'm rocking it, man. I'm kicking it, man. What's next, man? What do we have next?
Mhm.
All right, we got the Air Jordan 5 Toro. This shoe is going to drop on the 10th of April at $190. It originally was released back in 2009. It has suede at a university red color. And this suede isn't just regular suede. This is premium. I mean, this is butter. Like, it's gonna have the strokes on there. You're gonna see it move. So what y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna kick or pass? Let's start out from the bottom. Let's work our way back up top. Pastor Snell, man, is this something that you would kick or you'll pass on this one?
Joe, all the way. I would kick that all the way, especially if I could get it in another color or two, like that red. I don't know. Over 40.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really works. I'm on that over 40 crew. So if I could just get that in a more benign color, I would be all the way in with it.
Tone down a little.
Yeah. I got to tone it down just a little bit.
All right, KP.
Yeah. I mean, I love the shoe itself, man. I'm a fan of that number Jordan. But man, I'm from the part of Brooklyn where you can't really wear that kind of color so heavy. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a cop, if you want to resell it. But if you're gonna kick it, y'all be careful.
You grew up in Long Island, bro.
Yeah,
I've been to your house.
Don't do that.
I've been to your
Don't
house,
even
man.
do that.
I ate at your grill.
White plains.
I ate at your grill.
You so disrespectful,
I had
bro.
egg sandwiches at your grill. It's
Listen,
a
man,
plush house.
my family got a little upgrade. We got a little upgrade eventually.
That house plush.
Don't
bro.
be mad.
We got a little upgrade eventually, man.
Bro, you crossed the bridge. You crossed the bridge. Bro.
Nah, for real though, I can't kick that, man. I can't. It's too much red, man.
Okay.
Too much red. A little too much.
Lavina.
I'm a sucker for red shoes. So I'm not into sneakers either, but I will wear those.
Candace.
I mean, it's good. It's good. Again, it's to each his own. I mean, I don't know. Let me look at it. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. And red is my favorite color, so I like the red.
Could you see your family taking a whole family photo in these joints? Is that something you can see?
I'll put a whole bunch of it on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay. I think we could put that on. I'm not I like heels. So I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we could put that on and rock that. Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Oh,
there we go.
Kirsten, she made it in. Thank you.
Yo, Candace's energy is big time, yo.
I made it.
Oh, right.
I made it.
I think you muted.
No, she's talking. It's a little. She's talking. She's here. She's here.
Good.
So let me just go ahead and welcome Kirsten on. She's the second half of Bomversations. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kirsten. I am the other half of Bomversations. I am also the owner of Ashe Boutique, and I'm so happy to be here, guys. Thank you so much for inviting us. I'm ready. Is my sound all right?
You sound good. My shea butter, my whipped shea butter came today, so I'm going to give that a try, man. I like to support my peoples, man. So you all make sure we'll put the links down in the comment section, and you all can shop also. Put the shoe back up, and let's see this shoe. And I believe we are at Ted. What do you think, man?
Oh, I think it's a hot shoe. It's nothing like seeing a shoe come back out that hasn't been out in over 12 years. But like everything else, the box gonna get it before we can even think about it. So it drops at 10.
You're right.
About 10. 10 o'clock in 1 second, they're gonna be sold out. So
They're gonna be gone.
Mhm.
That's real. That's
never
real.
get the hopes up about unless you're gonna pay, unless you're gonna pre-order or pay resale. And I'm done with resale life. I'm done with it. Everything I got now, I'm getting even retail, or I got to work some other stuff out. Like no more resale for me.
So
it seems like the warden has spoken in that household, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's okay, man.
Go ahead. Tell them you can show them better. You can tell them, brother. Tell them you can show them.
Listen, man. I've been forewarned in my household. Hitherto, no further. That's it. But let me say this: I would definitely not kick those shoes. Definitely not kick those shoes.
Wow.
So that's just me.
Okay. All right. Real quick, man, before I get my little 2 cents, Sierra says the 5s are a must.
They are.
All right. Y'all in the chat, y'all let us know what y'all thinking about these 5s. For me personally, this is it's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. Yeah, did they say premium suede or not, man? They're gonna be butter. So I'm with it, man. I'm with all of it. And I don't even I mean, if you like bread colorway, I don't see why you wouldn't rock this. This is something that's dope. If you can get your hands on it, you got something that's going to skyrocket in value. Just hold on to it and flip it, even if you don't like the way it looks. All right, up next, man. This is just for the LeBron fans. Just for the LeBron fans. What do we have here? We have the LeBron 7 baseball blue. All right. It's going to drop on the 8th of April, $175. Zoom. I don't know if this has Zoom air cushioning or not. It looks like it has air bubble.
Like Zoom.
Maybe. OGD.
That's a Zoom bubble.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the 35.
It's a Zoom bubble.
Yeah. So you got a little Zoom. You got the blue and the red. This is the baseball edition. LeBron James. What you think, Ted? What you gonna do with this?
Oh, I definitely pick that up, and I like and they're not $175. They're $200. I'm about to say
200. Yeah, 200.
So that's my only gripe with LeBron shoes is that I think the price point is just too high. I think they need to be around 170, 150 range. But the shoe is clean. I love 7s. I love the 7 silhouette of his shoes. So it's a clean shoe for me. I'll definitely kick it. And I need some blue shoes too. So
let's swing over. Gio, what you got, man? You gonna rock? You gonna kick this? You gonna pass this?
Yeah, I mean, I rock those only because why not? Why not? They have that Montreal Expos color, which is my hometown team. I was born in Montreal, so I definitely like that baseball blue on it. I want to put it out there like that. Yeah, so I'll kick it.
All right. Okay.
And then I'll pass it.
All right, pass it Snell.
All the way in. All things LeBron. all things LeBron. I'm all the way in.
Does that go with the shirt, man? Does it match the shirt, man?
No, the color won't match with the shirt, man. But listen, in addition to the color, the aesthetic, it's a practical shoe. It's for a man with a wide foot. I mean, it's got the air bubble. Like, it's not just walking around. You can hoop in this. You can play ball. You'll be good to go. Like, listen, all things LeBron. And you notice, like, all the Jordan fans, they said no to the Jordan shoe. They said yes to this LeBron shoe. I just made a note. It's just observation.
Yes, sir. See right. What you got? You gonna kick this or pass it?
It's a no for me, dog.
Thank you.
Don't like them at all. And I think when I heard LeBron, it made it even worse. I was like, absolutely. Oh no!
I'm trying to visit that dissertation and find out what's going on, Doc.
Yeah, there's some passes. There's some passes in the comment section too. Kristen says pass. All right. Candace is. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, Candace. Ladies first. Ladies first. Candace. I know it's not a stiletto. You know what I'm saying? But is this something that you would kick or pass?
Now listen, I done told y'all before I ain't know nothing about it, but this one, it's a no for me. I don't want to see it. Don't even put it back on the screen. We've seen it enough. Not
mercy. Oh, Kirsten, what about you?
It's a hard no for me. It looks real orthopedic, and I don't like it.
Mercy.
I'm sorry. I don't. It's
St.
probably
Louis
good.
ain't playing.
It's
Mercy.
probably good for your ankles and joints and things, but I don't like them. I'm sorry, Pat.
St. Louis ain't playing tonight.
St.
Okay,
Louis.
KP.
Yeah, man. Look, man, I love a LeBron shoe just like a Jordan shoe. I want to say I have my own equal number, man, of Jordan and LeBron. So I'm in the middle, but I don't know if I could kick this. This is more like if you're feeling real patriotic on July 4th, then go ahead and cop these. But other than that, man, I maybe the hooping. If they were at a lower price point, I might kick it to hooping. I mean, if I could hoop at some point, but this is a pass for me.
Yes. Surprisingly, I'll kick this, man.
Summer's around the corner.
These don't look like Tallahassee colors.
That Long Island Joe got you. Huh? You feel some kind of way. I think I would kick these. You know what I'm saying? I would kick these and mow the grass in them.
Oh wow!
Oh, the disrespect!
Wow.
The disrespect! Hold on, let me get this straight. You would pay money. You would pay money.
Really?
You would pay money, top dollar, to cut the grass in it.
I ain't kicking this. I'm pass. It's a pass for me, and I got no beef with LeBron no more. I'm documented as saying he's GOAT, but this is not something that I could wear. No, sir, buddy. I can't do nothing with it. Nope. All righty, man. So now let's get into it. Let's get into the show. Let's get to our it portion. This is the meat of the show. This is where we deal with the current events, what's been going on. And I don't know about you all, but what really has been occupying my time has been this Chauvin trial. And it's difficult to swallow at times. But recapping last week, we saw some capeless heroes, superheroes, man, and they also were sharing some guilt. They wish that they could have done more. We had on the scene a off-duty firefighter who you could hear saying, offering to give, some type of aid. He had the brother there who's an MMA fighter who told former officer Chauvin, listen, where your knee is placed, that's a blood choke. Like you can kill him. That's a blood choke. And so now today we had the police chief who has been documented saying this former officer used too much force. And so I'm not really sure where y'all at with this, man. I don't want to. It seems like it's a open, closed case, but we've been down this road before. And so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, man. How are y'all feeling?
Can we push it even a little further? The individual that was a 911, I guess, dispatch late woman. After seeing through the cameras, she calls her superior, and just to talk about the culture, she prefaces her comments by saying, I don't want to be a snitch, but this is what I saw, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, that talks about a deep-rooted culture in policing, where even when people see something that's outright wrong, that to be objective about it can be perceived as snitching. Because even on the scene, you've got people there who are not seeing it from a camera's perspective, but they're there. They're watching this guy lose his life, and no one, not just Chauvin, but none of these officers had any sympathy or empathy to say let's relieve some pressure. So I don't know. I think the culture has to be dealt with. For me, this is deeper than just this particular case. I think it is a deep-rooted culture in the way we police in America, and we got to get a handle on that. My personal 2 cents.
Who's next? Anybody got anything? What y'all feeling?
Yeah, man. I think for me, man, this is crazy. I've been kind of in and out and doing a little bit more reading than watching. One of the things that kind of caught me off guard is I didn't realize how triggering this was going to be. Last summer, man, that thing was a summer of lamentations. I mean, that was some very real sorrow. And I think kind of going through the images, listening to the testimony, I think that's the one thing that caught me off guard is the type of grief that it would revive. And I think, honestly, with all of us that, that are probably older than, 17, 18, I think our caution, as obvious as this may be, as open as and shut as it may appear, I think our caution and apprehension and almost kind of bracing ourselves for the worst is the only emotionally intelligent posture that we can take as African Americans, because we've just seen this go left, you know, on too many occasions.
Right.
And I think that there's a very real playbook that, you know, people can, you know, draw from in this, and that is to put the victim on trial. Like we've seen this, as if the officer had access to all this information, you know, before that series of events played out. And I just think one of the things that's crazy to me is it just shows how cyclical history is. Do you guys realize that if we were to still be around in 50 years, we will be talking to our kids about policing and race? We'll be talking to them about the 20s in 2020. The same way our grandparents talked to us about policing in 1950.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so like if you ever listen to your grandmom or maybe your great grandmom, like talk about race, you know, the apprehensions they had about letting their kids go out, interactions with police, whether it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Like here we are 70 years later from the 50s or the 60s. And we'll be talking to our grandkids about the 20s, the same way our grandparents talk to us about it. So I just think that, you know, we have to hope for the best, but I think we have to rightly brace for the worst. I think the one thing that may be a little bit different in this particular trial is that you have Blue speaking out, whereas it was Rodney King or a number of the other cases, Blue stood together in solidarity, essentially saying this was justified. You know, well, you don't know unless you're in that scenario. I think this was probably, and it had to be in a situation like this where it was so glaring, so overt, so obvious, where the brother was just completely in a docile position. But you even have the chief of police, who is African American, along with some other law enforcement authorities that have kind of stepped into the box and said this was outside of police procedure.
Yeah, as I've been watching, I'll just add this real quick. It's just frustrating as we see the same playbook being used, where you're able to drag a brother's history all through the mud, you know, but this former officer's history can't be brought onto trial. You know, he has a history. There's been complaints about this similar tactics. So I think I read somewhere where he used a knee to a teenager once, you know, and none of that stuff is admissible to the jury. But yet we can bring up Floyd's entire history to just kind of smear his name. It's not fair at all. But I don't know, man. I'm trying not to be optimistic just because we've been down this road so many times. But I'm hoping that justice is served here. That's what I'm hoping for.
It has to be.
Yo, they're gonna have some problems. They may have some
dark days if it's not.
It's gonna be some problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That area that it happened, I heard pretty much it's
locked down.
Was actually wide open in the sense, like no police force, no police presence. They've kind of left the people there to kind of deal with it because the people aren't quite, they ain't high on the police right now. The precinct that was close to it was burnt down.
Yeah, but in terms of like just barricades and stuff like that around the courthouse, I mean,
the courthouse. I was talking about where
it happened.
Where Floyd died. Yeah.
Did they have to? Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
If there's no other, we can. I understand. It's all triggering.
But I mean, I just think, man.
Nah, I was sorry. I don't know what's going on, but three things that I'll take away from this. Number one, I don't know if y'all caught it, but the two officers that got there first, they were on the force, I think, less than 2 weeks. There's a problem, and they're partners riding together. There's a problem with that. So there's a problem with the system of policing because no other job can two people who just started work together in that type of environment. Second thing is one thing that I caught too watching the officer's body cam. The one officer who was on George Floyd's feet, he asked a couple of times, should we roll him over? Rather than asserting the fact that we should roll him over, he just let what happened happen, because I guess maybe because he was new, but he asked two times, should we roll him over? Should we roll him over? The third thing that I'm taking away from this is that it's not as much as we want it to be open and shut case. It is not an open and shut case. Why? Because all it takes is one person on that jury who feels sympathetic towards an officer for whatever reason. They're trying to make it sound like, oh, it was this hostile crowd. We know the crowd wasn't hostile. This officer was just doing what he had to do in that moment. We know that stuff isn't true, but all it takes is one juror to agree with that, and that can throw the case completely into a mistrial or into a hung jury. So it's definitely not an open and shut case as much as we want it to be. If one person has some type of reasonable doubt about what happened, that throws everything into a whirlwind. And we know that police officers get, even former police officers, a lot of times get the benefit of the doubt.
It doesn't help that he's a brother too. So it definitely is not open and shut. It definitely is not open and shut. All right, Ted, man, we got this subject here, man. Phone tag, man. You go ahead and roll this out for us, man. Let's see what we can get into here, man.
Yeah, so we see KD and Michael Rappaport. Michael Rappaport, as you know, is a comedian, and now he's a sports commentator, I guess. Frequent guest. He and KD got into this thing. Well, so Michael Rappaport, what he does, he has this thing where he like just exposes people DMs. I don't know if it's part of a skit or whatever. I was watching him talk to the guys, Shannon and I think of the other guy name. But anyways,
Skip.
Skip. He was saying how he does this all the time. But so I guess him and KD got into it, and they were going back and forth over social media. Michael Rappaport KD got to a point where he just started saying wild stuff to Michael Rappaport. And rather than him handling it between them two as grown men, he decided to blast it on Twitter, showing all the personal messages, everything that they said. And then when they asked him why he did it, he was like, well, I no longer saw this KD. I just saw, I get these people all the time who come at me like this. And I just saw it as a person I need to put on blast. And I just think that two things, KD as a person who's in the position that he's in, he's always getting in trouble for going in and out of things with people on social media.
He should know better.
You have to rise above the crowd when you're at that level of celebrity, that level of wealth. You have to be better than the people who are going to come at you a million to one. Second thing,
the trolls. Yeah.
Second thing is we have to be mindful of people who like celebrity, who like to gain access to people, and then when something doesn't go right their way, then they're ready to blast you. So I think Michael Rappaport, to me, my issue is that he had no issue with the celebrity. He had no issue with going back and forth with KD, but when it got a little too hot for him, all of a sudden you putting this conversation on blast for whatever reason. And I didn't like that. I think KD has to be smarter too. So it's a stupid situation, but
let me say something very controversial. Both of them were wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, KD, this is not his first rodeo. Like, he had a fake Twitter account. He's always getting himself in trouble. And it seems to me, it's kind of like one of those things whenever his idol is injured, that's when it happens, right? Kind of like when David should have been at war and he wasn't, and he got in trouble. KD should have been in the gym. He should have been in
putting
rehab.
Putting them shots
Yeah,
up.
why is he going back and forth? Come on, man. And what makes it worse is you signed with Brooklyn 2 years ago, and you've played less than 30 games, and you out here on Twitter and DMs. I mean, for me as a fan, I just feel as though both of them went for it. Now Michael Rappaport, I think that he's a troll. He does it to everybody else, and I think that in this case, if you know the person with whom you are having these kinds of conversation is also someone who has a platform, you doing that, now you're taking away from his ends, from his sponsorship, and I think both of those guys were wrong.
Ain't nothing controversial about that, brother.
Yeah. KD should have known better, man. He should have known better. He's a comedian. This is what he does for a living. You gotta know better than this, man. Even as some of us on here, we're pastors for a living, and even ladies, you do things in public. You just gotta know better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue with members at the back of the church in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? This is something you don't do. They can say what they want to say about you. You just got to do better because you're getting paid more. He has a bigger image than him. You know what I'm saying? So
Kevin Durant.
But at the same time, man, that is kind of coward. I'm not with letting people's secrets out there like that. If you want to talk to me openly on my page, then say what you got to say. But if we in DMs, that's a violation for me, man. To throw that stuff up on social media, that's a violation. So.
Yo, man, quick story, man. I remember I was a while back. My oldest son, he was about 4 years old at the time, and I was outside washing the car. And so there was like a little mud pot, little puddle of water on the side of the car, and he threw some water in my direction. So of course I get up and I throw some mud and some water back at him, but like I'm still kind of dressed because I got to go somewhere. So he kind of throws some back, and I throw a little back at him, and I realize that I'm at a complete disadvantage because like I don't really want to get dirty.
Come on now.
He came to get dirty. And like one of the things, like you can't play in the mud with somebody that came to get dirty. Like you can't win that. Like that's what he came to do. Yeah. And I just think the same thing with KD, to the point that's already been shared. He's just got to exercise much more discretion, understanding. At the end of the day, even when you look at this, he's the only one that suffered consequences. Exactly. He's gotten fined $50,000.
Right.
I'm sure he's having to deal with sponsors or authorities. You know what I'm saying? In the NBA. So at the end of the day, he's just got to be bigger than that. But I do hate the narrative around it, though. Right? This narrative of these thin-skinned, pampered Black athletes. Mm-hmm. Like I just think when and I think that's where he's probably got to kind of level off the amount of access he's giving people to himself. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, there's nobody that can just be constantly criticized, come for, you're taking shots at me professionally, personally. Mm-hmm. You don't know this man. And at the end of the day, if you give people too much access and you're taking in too much of it, I think his reaction is somewhat predictable. Like he would actually have to be more than human if you're going to, kind of stay in that space. So I agree 110% that he's got to be smarter, more discreet. But I just hate the narrative because like there is this idea that I should just be able to say anything about you. And if you come back at me, then somehow that's an indictment on your character. Like, is it because he's a public figure? Is it for him only or for all public figures? Well, no. So
that's the price you pay for being a public figure.
But y'all watch these sports shows, right? Mm-hmm. Like try to come forward Skip Bayless or a Stephen A. Question their journalistic integrity, question their athletic prowess, question anything about them and see how they come to their own defense. And what I'm saying is when athlete or specifically African-American athlete comes to his defense, he's thin-skinned, he's hearing too much, he's got rabbit ears. But, when anybody else does it, then, somehow it's justified, Yeah, I don't know. I see a little bit of a double standard.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not a KD fan at all. So.
I feel like the major takeaway is if you want 15 minutes of fame, go at KD in his DMs. That's the bottom line.
I do want to just add one of the things that I'm learning is these superstars, they're insecure.
They fragile, bro.
And they need
look
like they need attention. I mean, imagine like for us, nobody hesitates to DM us or to talk to us. We have interactions with anybody we come in contact with. But these people are lonely a lot of times. And as Jen said, it seems as though they just can't resist a social media spout. I don't know why. I would hope that if I had millions of dollars and I was the NBA All-Star, I would be busy doing something else than in Twitter, going back and forth in DMs. But they have history. This kind of started off a couple years ago. I think it was about 3 years ago. Mike Rappaport reached out to KD trying to get some tickets to a game. KD got him some good seats. But because they weren't on the floor, Like
Okay.
Rappaport made a whole issue about the joint.
And
Uh, Go
and the
ahead.
is NBA players don't get tickets for floor seats. They have a certain section that their
Yeah,
guests sit in, and it's
family.
never on the floor. That's too much
Hmm.
money for the team to give away to NBA players to be able to have their people on the floor. It's never on the floor.
Even regardless, they don't even know him, right? So he made a whole issue about the joint, talking about when I come, I want splinters in my feet from being on the floor on the wood. Like I had to Uber here. You should have taken care of that. I had to fly here. He's just a troll. So
Yeah.
KD should have known. He should have
Yeah,
avoided
man.
the joint and not entered into those murky waters.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You got to know better. This is how Rappaport pays his bills, man. You just got to
That
know. But this
is.
is like going
I
back and
agree.
forth with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is in it for the kicks. He's in it for the jokes, the laughs. I mean, it is what you got to just know better, man. I'm not trying to make no judgment call on KD. You just gotta think, man. You gotta know better.
all right, man. So now we're getting ready to step into the highlight of the show, man.
It.
And we want to get a little serious here and talk about the journey, all right? And in particular, overcoming a culture of hurt. And so whenever you are on a journey, we recognize that there are accidents, there are bumps, there are cliffs, there are detours. And to be specific, we're talking about perhaps betrayal, misjudgment of character, heartbreaks, etc. I guess it was maybe a month or 2 months ago, I had the opportunity of being on an episode of Conversation, where Kirsten and Candace they host their weekly show on Wednesdays. I believe is it 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And on this particular episode, the title was amazingly titled, y'all. The title was "The Great Controversy."
Mercy.
Yeah, it was nice, and they got into it. They dove into it, and in this conversation, they kind of shared their journey, their experience as believers, going to church, the ups and the downs, the pain. And one of the things I really appreciate about it was the honesty, the sincerity. And they had their followers. There was this atmosphere of love that embraced them. And I realized that these are the conversations that are taking place all over the place,
Mhm.
at the dinner tables, and group chats. And I just thought, why not have that conversation, continue that conversation here? I know our followers. It's a loving group. We're gonna bring our 316 vibe with us. And let's just kind of dig into this thing. And so I would ask either of you all kind of briefly kind of walk through your journey, the good, the bad, and let's get into it.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so when we started Conversations, can you all hear me?
Hear you
Yes, ma'am.
good.
Okay. We wanted to create a safe space for like minded people. So we grew up in the church, like most Seventh day Adventist kids. We grow up in the same type of atmosphere. Our parents were Adventists, or were brought into the church by another Adventist. So our story is the same. We grew up the same. We have the same beliefs. We're scared of everything. We don't know anything outside of what we were taught. But the conversations that she and I have are different now, because now what we were taught doesn't really resonate with us the same way that it did. So as adults, we have to unlearn those things and go and see, okay, I believe this. This is true to the word of God. This is not. This is just tradition. This is just culture. And then build on that. So in us starting Conversations, we found that there were more people who thought the same way we did. And we just started the conversation about, well, how are you feeling? What are you doing differently? Um, what are some things that you felt that were untrue, and how are you navigating through that now? So that's where all of this kind of started. Candace and I met when we were about 10 years old, and this was at a camp meeting. So we've been in the church. We
Mm-hmm.
know, we know all of it. So now as adults, we're just unlearning some things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Shout
I
out to
think
you.
I think for me, my journey is it's still going, it's still evolving. I can say there are some things that I've learned from the Seventh-day Adventist Church that helped shape my, my morals and my values, and those are things that I will pass down to my children. But there are some things that were just so left that I just can't anymore, and I'm now okay with that, without the fear of, oh, am I going to hell? I'm okay with that now, because the relationship that I have with God now lets me know, like, hey, you're in relationship with me, you're okay. So my journey is still continuing, and I do love to have these conversations, though.
Sure.
I do. I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Candace.
Yes, I'm here. These churn is in the background.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh my gosh. So,
And if
so I think I'm a little, you already know where I stand. I think this might be the part where I get put out. I have, it's the same story like Kirsten said. Here. Same story like Kirsten said. We grew up in church. My mom, we started off going to church on Sunday, and maybe when I was in maybe the 6th or 7th grade, we met some Adventists, and my mom switched over. We didn't understand it at first, like, what you mean go to church on Saturday? So for me, I was not born and raised that way, but I kind of fell on into it, pretty good. When you're a kid, you don't have a choice. It's kind of what you have to do. It wasn't until some things were strange to me. I didn't understand the jewelry thing and all of that. Some things were strange, but overall, it was a great experience, as a kid. But it wasn't until I got older, went to college, moved out, and kind of got to experience church on my own, and meeting new people. You're not under the mom's umbrella anymore, kind of protected. You start seeing other things, and some things no longer make sense, and other things still do, and you have questions and stuff. And my biggest thing, I don't know, where we are, but in this whole thing, but my biggest thing was the people, dealing with people at church. And I know they say you don't come to church to deal with people, you're coming, you want to see God and this kind of thing. But what if you're somebody who doesn't know this, and you have to learn it from somebody else who supposedly does, and they're not being Christ-like, or they're not showing you the proper way. In fact, they are at church in the flesh, doing things, making it about other things other than what church is supposed to be about. Then how do you deal with it when you want to go see God, but the people that are right here in your face, right here tangible, are not being that way? Like, how do you still want to get up and still want to go? So that's the place that I found myself, dealing with people who were not okay, acting like the Lord, and in there just clowning and coming for you and talking to you any kind of way and being disrespectful and that kind of thing. I got to a place where I can see Jesus at home in my bed. Okay, I don't have to come up in here for y'all to act crazy with me and, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. So this is where I've found myself. Currently, I still believe in God. I still am working on, Taylor, that's too loud. I am still working on my personal relationship and getting to know God for myself, because everything that I knew prior to this, again, was what my mama said, or because this is what it's going to be. And when you're a kid, you're being directed by the adults in the church. And I'm to a place now where, I want to believe it and love it and hold on to it, because it's what I found for myself. But the roadblock that I found was, dealing with people and them, the judgments, and them telling you, oh well, what you can and you can't do, or you ain't gonna do that, or the constant being told, oh well, y'all going to hell for that. It don't make me want to come there to find Jesus, because I don't see him here and I don't see him in y'all. So that's where I am. I'm currently at Bedside Baptist, or Bedside SDA for those who are that. And I'm trying to refigure things out. I'm sorry. That's just, y'all call me here. I'm going to keep it real, respectfully, but that is where I have found myself.
Yeah. Shout out to Central States and Slam Federation, St. Louis ladies in the house, man. First of all, let me just say, I didn't mean to jump in and start it off, but let me just apologize to y'all, man, on behalf of anybody who's hurt you. I mean, I'm still in the church full fledged, and committed my life to ministry, and that doesn't mean I haven't been hurt. It also means I probably haven't hurt anybody either. So, but I do want to apologize on that, at least outright, at the very top of this conversation. I mean, I get what you're saying. We can't just say, "Oh man, it's people," and it is. I mean, it is people, but we don't also want to sugarcoat it. We don't want to just make an excuse. People are terrible. It is what it is. It's just real talk, man. So I definitely apologize on behalf. So don't hold it against us. No, I'm just kidding. I did want to offer that apology up front.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
And then let me say this too. My wife was watching y'all show, and I could not get a question in. So whatever y'all doing is definitely working.
Oh, well, we really pride ourselves on being completely honest and transparent in anything we're talking about, even if it kind of makes us feel cringy, like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have said that. But I've learned that in my honesty and in my transparency, people are being helped. People are being healed, and they're no longer feeling embarrassed or like, am I the only one to feel like this? And when you feel like that, you don't want to say anything. But once you open your mouth and say what it is that has hurt you or the way you're feeling, that's where the healing begins. So we really are take pride in just saying what it is, putting it out there, because somebody may need that at that time. And I think that's one thing that the church has not done. Honesty hasn't been there at all. It's been a lot of covering up of stuff so that it's making people feel like I can't say nothing to you because you've already achieved the highest heights. You're already healed and delivered in things. And I'm trying to get there, but I don't want you to know that I'm all blemished and toe up. So you hide stuff from people and you hurt and you get under that embarrassment umbrella and you stay there. And you melt away and nobody know nothing about you. You leave the church and don't nobody know. So
I want to engage C. Wright and then also Pastor Snell. And the reason why I want to engage you, C. Wright, is because as a former dean and also working on a public university, you're dealing with young people. And as a dean of Oakwood, I'm sure you dealt with a lot of these conversations. I never had the privilege of living in a dorm. But I would always hear about, at times of the relationship between a good dean and those residents. So, I just kind of want to prick your mind and see kind of your thoughts on what's going on.
Well, I mean, I think my perspective when I was working at Oakwood was different than it is now. I think I was kind of under the Adventist spell, and then I stopped myself, but I just said it, so it's there. But I think I was kind of just under this, like, this is the system, this is how we roll. And I was born into the church too. And so I think there were certain things that I kind of certain conversations I had that I think looking back now that I have been, at a public four-year institution and students are coming to me with all different kinds of issues. And just thinking about how I responded back then, I'm like, I wish I had the kind of empathy and understanding that I have now for the students that I worked with back then. Despite, even though some students did feel comfortable opening up, I think at the end of the day, that honesty, that transparency, that safe space was missing. And I feel bad because I didn't provide it. I think to some degree, I definitely identify with your journey too, because I think once I transitioned out of Oakwood, I started to kind of just go through my own personal journey as well. So I think that also had a lot to do with why my perspective is the way it is now, in terms of I regret not being more present for my residents. I regret not, really listening. I regret kind of brushing some things to the side, or giving that, that generic response that we typically give to certain things. Because I was in need of, a safe space to be myself too. I would think about the times where I would change the radio station when students would get in my car because of what people when they heard what I was listening to. And, I want to be able to be myself. I want you to love me how I am. I don't want there to be any issues. Oh, that's not Adventist, you need to, calm it down. So I think now that I'm at this space where I'm like, I feel more confident living authentically me. I want to be able to provide that for other people. So during that time, I don't think I was at the place where I am now.
Yeah.
But I definitely see a need for those of you like Corey. I know you're on campus. I know Shay, you're in Huntsville too. I feel like the opportunity to be present and supportive for students with all the needs, because I was blown away by the things that I saw on the public campus, or the things that people came to me with. And now it's normal. When somebody comes to me and they're like, you're presenting as a female, but you want me to call you Sam, because that's what you are. You're Sam. And so that's not even a thing. I don't flinch with it, and I know that's a touchy subject, so I'm going to divert from that. But my point is made. I'm going to be quiet now.
Yeah. Can I just follow up on that, man? What I will say is, being on Oakwood's campus, and I came from youth ministries, but being on Oakwood's campus, I've really been submerged, and it has really changed my perspective. I feel like I came here to pastor the students, like to be an evangelist almost. And within a semester, it was more like, I'm not trying to convert you. I'm trying to journey with you. You know what I'm saying? Because the one thing I learned, I think this goes back to what Conversation ladies were just talking about. People are hurting, people are broken. Like people have been through stuff. I feel like even when I got to Oakwood, you kind of just assume, well, they're coming from an academy, they're coming from a church, everything is straight, they're good. They don't, they just need worship and we're good and we'll get them a degree. But the reality is people are struggling, you know what I mean? And I think if everybody was honest about it from the top to the bottom, to just say, I'm not saying you got to put your, don't nail your stuff to the church door and 95 thesis about hurt. But you at least say, I'm out here trying to make it to the kingdom just like you are. I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to journey with you. And I feel like, that's kind of opened the door, at least for conversations. Students will come to you with some crazy stuff that I would have never gone to a chaplain on campus with, what I'm saying? Just because the perspective has changed. I'm not here to condemn you. I want to see the power of Christ displayed in your life, but I'm here to get on the journey with you.
Can I just add to say, I want to just add real quick. I know we're supposed to be going to Snell, but everyone's adding. So let me just add this. This is an old saying, and it's not even deep. But my mom and my dad used to say this to me all the time growing up. People won't care how much you know, or what you know, until they know that you actually care, right? And I think that one of the things is a part of, and I like the title that we've given this segment called The Journey, because, and Corey said it best, people need to know that as leaders in the church, that we are on a journey with them, right? And a part about being on a journey with them is caring to find out, and not necessarily coming from a judgmental perspective, but to kind of just hear them. So many times we are so apt to speak and slow to hear and to understand. And I think that's where, a lot of this hurt generates from. We talked about transparency. Transparency is a skill that is learned, and even as we're talking about individuals who may have been hurt, by people who are hurt themselves, I think the part of that is a lot of us have not yet learned how to be transparent, right? And I think that transparency key is so deep, because we could set some people free by just sharing our stories, right? Yeah. Where we've come from, what and how God has led us. And so, I think that we have to be more intentional about that that interpersonal aspect of ministry. And sadly to say, in many churches, those with the loudest voices are those not who have yet to perhaps become the most loving of that particular environment. And we've got to find a way to flip the script, right? To have those who are loving and who are we're not condoning, but loving and understanding, to be able to speak and to usher some of our young people through their journeys.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I just do want to follow up and just kind of reaffirm what Corey said, in the sense of, I do think that the institution of the church owes these ladies, along with a number of generations, a deep, sincere, profound apology for horrors that have been inflicted. Shay and I grew up in a church where, and we were talking about it not long ago, like, if you messed up in any kind of way, like you were gonna be out. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy that
It's true.
we kind of consider ourselves survivors, in a certain way, right? But like, this is the one thing I
Survivors
found,
Anonymous.
and I would probably kind of share. So, Kristen, when you talked about like becoming an adult and realizing that there was a disparity between kind of what was taught of the culture and like really what's in scripture or what you saw in people and Jesus of the Bible. Let me just, if I can kind of challenge us to look at it in this way, to a certain extent, that is actually necessary. And let me kind of explain what I mean when I say that. So that, like, I think no matter what the denomination, if you grow up in church world, everybody comes to that point of crisis. Like, whether you're strict holiness, devout Catholic, devout Pentecostal, devout Baptist, like, there is culture, there are things that we grew up hearing. And at some point, as Candace talked about, you get from underneath the umbrella of parents and you have to grapple with those things for yourself. So I think that it's actually what we kind of see is like, man, maybe this is bad that this is happening. It's actually essential to your maturity, to where you can look at it and say, okay, so like, for instance, let me say it this way. So for somebody who grows up in the world or in the secular world, they have a conversion moment where like they say no to the world and yes to Christ. Somebody that grows up in religious culture never really has to make that decision. But what they do have to do is they have to come to know Jesus for themselves apart from religious culture. And what happens is sometimes when we face that moment of crisis, you can go one of multiple ways. Like, that moment, like, it can really anchor you. It can secure you. It can allow Christ to be born in you in a way that cannot happen just growing up in church, because it's atmospheric. It's not personal. So I think what these ladies are talking about is they're experiencing something that is personal, that is no longer atmospheric. So I think that, one of the things I would say is like, okay, man, I'm looking at this and I'm having this moment. I'm realizing, this is not biblical. This is not really in the word. Like, don't count that as a negative. Count that as chains being removed, as a kind of a God ordained journey, right, where he's kind of leading you, where you can experience him. Now, the one thing I do want to say is I think a part of successful discipleship of young people, and cut me off, Shay, because you know our role.
You gotta kick it.
Helping people to have, and this is critical, correct expectations of people. See, I think the reason the hurt is so pronounced is because, like, we put this expectation on church leaders, church people, like this infallible concept. Like, at the end of the day, and these men, I know these men, like, we're pastors, but like, we are flesh and blood. Like, I mean, if you follow me around long enough, you're going to be disappointed by something, right? I see a couple of members on the line. It's a couple of people that they know how fundamentally human I am, right? So, and I'm saying that to say, this is why I think you have to kind of be careful about the relationship and the expectations. So I think leaders...
KP?
Yeah. So I think leaders
Long
or
Island.
church, yeah. I think they have to be respected, not inspected. And let me tell you what I mean when I say that. So let's just take Peter in the Bible, right? We kind of like Peter because, like, man, he's like us. He speaks before he says, he speaks before he thinks. Your boy Peter would curse, like, he lay hands, like he's relatable in that regard. But do you realize how hard it would have been to be a disciple in the New Testament church when Peter at the helm? Like, this guy who would cut you, he would lie. We know he denied the Lord. And specifically, he would have had a problem with people that looked like us, that were non-Jews. But yet, like, this is who God, like, puts at the helm. So, like, is that an excuse? No, I think it's fundamentally understanding how God calls people. Like, God doesn't call us when we're finished products. God calls us while we're still under construction. And I guess what I'm saying is, as you're looking at somebody who's still under construction, it is very easy to be turned off by that and put away by that. But I think that the same grace that we're asking God to give us, we give to those who are functioning in a broken or less than mature way in the body of Christ. Because, like, this is the crazy thing about church. What makes church perfect is that God lets anybody in. Like, and I tell my church all the time, church is the one place we don't check credit, your grades,
Thank God you don't check credit, brother.
You don't check your credit, your grades. We ain't looking at your mental history. So what makes the church perfect is that we accept everybody. What makes it painful is that we accept everybody. Yeah. When I say accept, meaning we let anybody in, is what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, I want to hear what the ladies got to say, man.
Yeah, I see Candace. I see Candace.
Let me just say this real quick before y'all hit it, because Candace was actually about to go in. While expectations should be clearly had on the part of a member, I mean, I feel like sometimes as leaders, we go in presenting ourselves as something we're not as well. You know what I mean? Sure. And so sometimes we can be placed on a pedestal, but let's just be real. There's a lot of us that place ourselves on pedestals and then kind of invite people to stand at the foot of our pedestal and worship us. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Ladies?
So much. So, yes, the church lets anyone in. But when those people are in, then now they're being judged. So now I don't want to be in. I'm on my way out. Because you done judge me on how I look, how I speak, what I smell like, all the things. I'm being judged on all those things. So yeah, I'm in. Hey, welcome. I'm gonna give you a Sabbath hug, and that's it. But I'm not gonna mess with you after I give you this little Sabbath hug, because you're not one of me. You're not one of us. So a lot of people get that too. So we don't want to be in, and that's a part of the hurting process, because I came. Yes, you welcomed me in, but you didn't show me no love when I got in there. And I didn't want to see anything else after you hurt me. So I'm just there.
And if I can follow up on that, I've been silent. As a pastor, and I'll speak from my experiences when I was a senior pastor. But oftentimes I will find, and this is true at First Church too. Oftentimes I will find, and I can't speak to you ladies, your individual situations, but I will find that I had no idea the level of just evilness my members, my leaders were dishing out to my leaders, to my members. I had a situation at a church of mine where a certain individual kind of rose up on me and he had to go. And when we moved away from him, people then came to me and shared with me that this individual had said some very mean things, but nobody told the pastor. I had no idea this was going on, and I'm not trying to take the blame from leadership, but oftentimes the people who approached women about the length of their attire or the jewelry, it's the last person as a pastor I would want to have that conversation with. When it comes back to me that they spoke to somebody about what they were wearing, I'm just like, why would you have that conversation? You don't even smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even smile. I don't need you to have those conversations. And so once again, I'm not negating the pain. I don't want to take the responsibility off of leadership. I do think we have to find a way to hold those members. And we know certain members they have a history of this stuff. But yet they still hold the doors of the church. They still are in certain positions. We got to find a way to hold them accountable also.
If I could chime in, I've been sort of quiet. It's just because this touches home for me. Candace and Kirsten, I know y'all don't know me, but in 2006, I decided to leave pastoring. Some of the things that you're talking about are reasons, for me where I felt like I couldn't continue to be a pastor if I didn't agree with everything, and I had my own thoughts and ideas. That was one of the most hurtful situations I went through. Immediately people asked me, were you part of some type of scandal? Was this happening? Was this happening? People that I thought were my friends.
My God. Tell them it was the money, man. It was the money. You needed some real money.
I thought were colleagues, turned their back on me. And it got to the point where I didn't even want to attend church, where, it didn't matter if I went to church or not. And I just felt like, for forever, people would be asking me, why you left, why this, why that, what happened. And it got to a point where I just had to, where I came to that point where even though I grew up in the church, I had been a youth elder, I had been everything in the church. It came to the point where I just had to accept who God was to me for me. Even though I was a pastor, I was playing the role, but did I really know who Jesus was to me for me? And I think when I got to that point, I became comfortable in my own skin and with my own decision, because up until that point, I would sometimes I feel embarrassed to go to the church because I'm like, people are looking at me like, why isn't this guy pastor anymore? And, and and what you're saying, it resonates with me because I understand the hurt. I understand the pain. I understand the confusion. And I think when we get to a place in our journey, in our walk, where we're comfortable with who God is for us and to us, then I think, when we're at that point, then we can start to look at things in a new light. Where now, I don't care what people say. It really doesn't bother me anymore. I'm happy in my life. I'm happy with, the decisions that I've made. And, no matter what, nobody can take from me what I've accomplished. So I just want to say, I hear you all. I feel your pain. It resonates with me. But I just want you to continue to stay strong, man. Continue to find out who God is for you personally.
Can I jump in here real quick though? Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Are there occasions, and this is not like in defense of or in opposition to, but are there times where we allow like a loud minority to become the representation of the entire church? Meaning like there are times like, so how do I want to say this? Like, again, like it is funny because this is what people don't really get. No, the pastors will get this. Nobody is hurt by church people more than pastors. Like, not more than the new people at the day. I mean, people literally feel like it is their right to come for the pastor. But what I'm saying is, like, there are in every church, I think there's probably a cluster, maybe 10 to 15% who kind of represent that these are the pain facilitators. They are the hurt ministers of church, right? And they've been doing it for so long and without any recourse against them. And for whatever reason, they are entrenched in church. For whatever reason, these people become the representation of the other 80%, but who may just be trying to serve God the best they can, move on, raise their kids, who selflessly serve and care about other people. I guess one of the things I want to encourage us to not do is, how the Bible says you have to cast down imaginations. Imagination is like whenever we allow something to become inflated or something to become a representation of all. And what I'm saying is, I think that there are times where we kind of allow these people to become the face of the church,
the vocal
as
minority,
opposed to who. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the vocal minority, because they're not
the vocal minority.
Because you have a silent majority, but these individuals, and I'm not trying to. Yeah, they're the vocal minority. Yeah.
I want to give the ladies opportunity to respond. I will say,
looks like she's about to burst, y'all.
I will say, as she's getting ready to jump in, I do think there's at least one exception to that. I don't know if there is a pain like an unwed mother being disfellowshipped. I think that is a pain, especially when the young man isn't brought forward. All the other, but outside of that, I agree wholeheartedly. But in our home church, we saw that, and I want the ladies to jump in here, and then we can respond. So I see facial expressions. This is a safe space, y'all. This is a safe space. So y'all, and I know y'all gonna say it how you feeling anyway.
There's just so much. There's just so many ladies. See, we're speaking on behalf, not on just our behalf, but just on behalf of the regular church going people. We don't hold high positions. We don't, you know what I'm saying? We're not those people. We just want to come. We want to give. We want to help. We want to support. We want our kids in Good Children's Ministries. We're those regular people. So we're speaking on behalf of those people. So yes, for the unwed mother who her only space is and her safe space and favorite part of worship is to sing and to be on the praise team. And that's where she really gives God her all in that moment and has to be set down because of that decision. That is hurtful. For the male struggling with his sexuality and has nobody to talk to about it, but loves to go to church and has men who are at the church that he looks up to, but are afraid to speak to him about that. That's hurtful. It's so many layers. For a woman who has been sexually assaulted by someone who is in the church, but wants to speak to somebody about it, but is scared and embarrassed. That's the hurt. That's the kind of hurt we're talking about. And that's the kind of hurt that kind of sits down in me so bad. It's just we kind of brush past this stuff all the time, and we want to just pray a lot of stuff away. We want to sweep a lot of stuff under the rug, and what we're doing here is not normal. Like, people don't get on lives. This is new, where we get on lives and talk to a cool group of pastors that are understanding, that are open, and that are here to listen. This is new stuff. So I can really appreciate what's happening here, because we don't know this kind of stuff. This is new and this is great. But for the people who have gone away and now they're seeing, oh, wait a minute, we making some moves here, because they are willing to have these conversations. This is what is needed. Yeah. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful, but there's so many layers to this. I can go on.
Candace,
but so I think one of the things though, I think one of the things that Kirsten, when she ain't talking about just kind of the everyday pettiness of people. She's talking about stuff that's created generational hurts and cycles. These are things that actually distort the image of God. And I think that one of the things that you're seeing, and she addresses, kind of, inappropriate behavior that's happened in churches and how it's been swept under the rug, so on and so forth. Kind of, I think what you're seeing is that society in a church, in many ways, has mirrored the larger society, in the sense of the same way government officials or teachers, or just as a culture, like the treatment of women or just certain behaviors, like even Me Too. The Me Too movement is a response to the fact that our larger society, by and large, is taking the posture to say, the person or the male in powerful position, we're going to protect his reputation over, the destruction caused to the victim. And I think by and large, the church has mirrored the culture, as opposed to now on the other hand, we say stand and be different from the world, stand apart and be different, be separate. but in many ways we mirrored the culture.
Yeah.
And it is only because the culture has awakened in many ways that the church is awakening and having to respond and even train pastors in many ways on how to deal with these things when they show up in church. Like some of the things that we learn or are being exposed to, pastors 20, 30 years ago, you just pray, and you just try to keep it quiet. And again, you don't want, the church's reputation to be damaged.
Right. Yeah, the shield.
Candace?
I want to just say something real quick, if I may. I've been trying to get this one little thing out, and I know we want to move.
It's never little.
But I'm gonna say this one little thing though. One of the things I wanted to say is, and I think Pastor Snell hit on it, is culture. And sometimes, in terms of culture, you can add more through subtraction, right? And I'm not talking about those who've been hurt. And it's one thing to say we apologize for the church hurt, but I think it's another thing to be intentional about changing the culture. One of my, since Clark Kicks has given his experience, let me give you my experience as well. My first church that I pastored, we had an individual who had been in leadership for almost 30 plus years, and it was literally his church. He used to brag about all of the positions he held, and one day I just said to myself, I said, and Albert would know this, but one day I just said, I prayed, and we started doing this series on the children of Israel and how a whole generation had to literally die off. And when I was preaching that thing, I wasn't speaking about people physically dying off. I was talking about certain personalities had to die off, right? Certain characteristics had to die off. But lo and behold, the way the thing worked out, some people, actually passed on. And I'm talking people who were really who were inhibitors of the gospel. And similarly to what Clark Hicks said, people started coming now saying to me about how those individuals were being very hurtful in their demeanor in their conversations. And the reality of it all is, the church after those kind of subtractions propelled forward, like it doubled and in attendance, and ministry was able to move forward, and we were able to deal with real issues, people in the community, with single mothers, with poverty. And so I guess what I'm saying is sometimes is that culture component is serious, and we have to find a way to balance that. And sometimes subtraction will lead to certain additions.
Yeah. Once again, thank you for that, man. And a lot of people are sharing their comments and with us and their feelings. They're right there with you all. But I just want to just kind of ask the ladies. I'm not sure if you're able to, Candace or C. Right. Conversations ongoing, and we just want to see. I see your faces. Well, I want to see. Okay. I want to hear what the faces is saying. Yeah, what's going on inside?
Well, Kirsten and I talk all the time, so she really hit it on the head. And I was, just gonna say, when Pastor Snell was saying, and I don't know how we address everybody, but Pastor Snell was saying, just a second, we accept everybody, and I don't think it, for me personally, I don't feel it is a come as you are or accept everybody type deal, as Kirsten was saying, because the minute they're not looking like or doing right or being who you're supposed, quote unquote, be, then that's the minute they're sat down, put out, talked about, and judged. So I was just going to touch on some of the same things, and everybody has touched on all of that. But yes, I'm agreeing with everybody is saying. My kids.
You're good.
That's
You're
it.
all right. You're all right. See, right. Talk to us.
Man, there were so many things that I felt triggered by, so many statements. And I'm
sorry.
It's okay. I'm just gonna say this. To me, I'm hurt. I'm an adult. I am 39. Okay. I want a safe space, right? Not just young people. I want a safe space too, right? I'm pretty sure if I was to have private conversations with everyone here, if we were cool, all the pastors would be able to admit that they've been hurt too, right? Obviously all the pastors, but even personal hurt, right? So I think when I think about the culture of the church, the environment is just not safe. It's not inviting. And I think that is, I'm just getting a little choked up, but I think that is the problem as an adult. It's not safe. I saw a post on Facebook the other day. Come on, Doug, come back. I saw a post on Facebook. Okay, I'm back. I saw a post on Facebook the other day, and it was talking about people are leaving the church, young adults and adults are leaving the church, you know, at whatever rate. And, you know, what can we do to bring them back? And my comment on the post was, why should they come back? That should be the question. Tell them why they should come back. What are we doing to provide a safe environment? Because I'm at the point in my life where I'm not bothered by somebody who has something to say about me. But if I'm struggling with depression, anxiety, if I'm struggling, like last year was a hellish year, you know, I'm finishing my program, you know, the world is crumbling around me, not having anyone to talk to, you know, George Floyd, everything happening, just not having that safety, that authentic. So I can tell you everything that's going on. That's what I want. I want that as an adult. And I feel like there's people who are probably older than me, 50s, 60s, that want that too. And to me, that's the issue. Can we have a space where it's like the church is supposed to be accepting to all? Church is supposed to be a hospital, you know, but we only want well people. I have to pretend to be perfect. I have to pretend to be a certain way to be accepted. If I came in broken, if you guys saw me at my worst, would you still take me? Would you still love me? Would you still give me the things that you say you want to give me? That's the struggle for me. And that's, and I mean, I take a personal like approach of, you know, because I work with young people, I'm in higher education, you know, I try my best to give what I want to receive. You know, the least of these, that's my motto in my personal ministry outside of Adventism, right? Everybody is the least of these. Whatever your issue is, I want to be able to work with you. I want to provide for you what you need. And if it's not explicitly Christ, I want to show you the love of Christ through whatever I'm giving you. But I just feel like, you know, I'm hurt. What can you do? How can I feel safe? I don't want to tell sister so-and-so something and next, you know, the whole church knows, you know, like I don't want to tell someone with this, you know, and then the whole church, it's just that I need to feel safe. I want to feel safe. I'm desperate to feel safe.
I feel like we've heard all of the sermons. We know all the sermons. We know what pastor gonna speak one sermon by the way he introduces the sermon. Like we know all of that. We don't want that anymore. It's not practical to the way real life is. We are looking for things that are practical, and we don't have it in the church. We can't find it. That's what we desperately need. Things that are practical.
Yeah. I'm gonna try. Can I try to respond? Cause Snell look like he about to bubble over, and I think my battery's dying. A couple of things, man. You talked about church hurt as a pastor. I think briefly. When I was in high school, I remember my lips were dark, y'all. A lot of people smoked in my church. I didn't smoke though. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't appealing to me. And I just remember every time a family member came to visit, they would always come and approach me like, "Yo, people are telling us you're smoking." And I'd be like, what are y'all talking about? I don't smoke. You know what I'm saying? Other people's kids are smoking. I wasn't smoking, nothing like that. But they kept on saying it. And, you know, long story short, I remember getting down to Oakwood, y'all. And I smoked weed for the first time. And I'm going to be real with you. It wasn't peer pressure. There was nothing attractive about smoking weed. I legitimately smoked because everybody thought I did anyway. You know what I mean? And I'm going to say this because we titled this thing The Journey. Man, the one thing that has kept me and is still keeping me, even in ministry, witnessing some of the things I've witnessed behind the iron curtain, is it's a journey and I'm not in control of that joint. We were just doing a Revelation thing on a Three Angels message, man. And I read through, you know, in the beginning of Revelation, Jesus says, he introduced himself to John, who John is going through it, you know, by the time Jesus shows up and taps him on the shoulder. And he tells him, I'm the Alpha and the Omega. Paul says it a different way. He says, yo, Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. And I'm not trying to like get real preachy, but
set it up.
Come on, Long Island.
Set it up.
Come on, Long Island. We can't hear you, Long Island.
I got to go to my internal mic, man. I'm not trying to get preachy, man, but the reality is it is a journey, which means I've been hurt and I have hurt people. And in the journey of faith, I have to trust that in all of that, God knows what he's doing. And I know that sounds like, you know, oh, this is not a cop-out. What I'm saying is even Kirsten and Candace's ministry right now is as a direct result of hurt on the journey, which means someone else benefits from the hurt. And it sucks that we got to go through it. But God is not, and this is going to sound bad, God is not about, he's not really worried about boo-boos, y'all. He's not really worried about if you scraped your knee. Like he's sad like any parent would be. I'm always sad. I'm trying to teach my little girl how to ride a bike. It's got training wheels and she's still falling over. And I don't want her to fall over, but I can't go catch her every time because if I go catch her, she's never going to learn how to ride the bike. You know what I'm saying? And to some degree, we got to acknowledge, man, and this is not making an excuse for nothing. This is what has helped me. I'm just talking about me. What has helped me is I've had to accept that this is part of my journey, and through it, God's going to get the glory for that joint, either some way or the other. Let me address what Lavina said, because I think it's absolutely perfect. And then I'm going to throw a question out there that was sent to me. How do we create that safe space? I'm going to tell you how we don't create the safe space. You can't create the safe space by leaving. That's number one. Now, I'm not saying everybody ought not. Some people got to leave. That's just real. Okay. So again, Kirsten, Candace's ministry, God birthed that joint for a reason. So praise God for it. But there are some people who just leave rather than coming to the realization, yeah, the institution needs to be held responsible, but we are the church. We can't create a safe space is not something you mandate through policy. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the things the culture is doing to us. Like Ted Wilson can't create a safe space in your church. You create the safe space in your church. You got to be the one that talks to that young lady. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that talks to that young man who might come into the office on campus high. And I'm just like, yo, bro, if you come in there smell like weed, I'm not going to judge you because I've been there. I got to create that safe space for him. I can't go up to President Pollard's office and say, hey, Doc, I need for you to create a safer space on campus. No, I got to create the safe space first. You know what I'm saying? It starts with me. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen in the four walls of the church. That's why we applaud Bombversation, because Bombversation says, let me not just wallow in my hurt. Let me create a safe space for those who have been hurt so that we can move forward together. All right. I don't know if y'all want to, I can segue this question, Croc. I don't know if you want to do this, but this is for all of us to answer. This was dropped by Dr. Pollard. He says, can the community of faith have standards for which we hold each other in love? And if so, what made some of those be? Like, is there any way that we could legitimately have standards where we can hold each other accountable and hold each other together in love? And what would y'all say that would be? So like, where do we go from here? Like we're all hurting. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, but I think I don't know if the issue is standards. So like, you guys remember when when your boy Tiger Woods when his stuff blew up like I guess it's been about 10 years ago about all the women in the affair, so on and so forth. It's crazy. Like you had people like Mercedes, different people that he pitched for. That basically removed his sponsors, removed him from representing their brand because they felt like his behavior, you know what I'm saying, was not in keeping, kind of with their ideals. And so I think that when we talk about standards, like, because I think, for instance, I think maybe these ladies, Kirsten and Candace would agree, like if you got this guy and he is leading or preaching, but he's sleeping with every woman in the church, you'll probably agree that kind of having him up front kind of creates, a conflict of some sorts, like if this is what he is known for. So I don't think that, we're saying we don't want, people, we don't want perfect people, but we feel like ministry should be credible. Like there ought to be some consistency, that there ought to be a connection between word and practice. But I think what causes so much of the hurt is kind of how we go about it and our motives. So the motive is just arbitrary protection of perception of church. It's about standard, not as opposed to people. So I don't think we follow the steps of Jesus, where there's a one-on-one meeting where the truth is spoken in love, where there is a gathering where community goes to that erring person in love. And then if that person just continues to pull back, then they're kind of brought before the church and dealt with a certain way. Honestly, I think, and I've been pastoring for 20 years. And honestly, I didn't want to say it out loud, guys. I was like, yeah, they had 20 years. But like any erring person of any nature, like honestly, I've never actually had to go past step one, just approaching brother or sister in Christ in love and saying, hey, how can we, kind of help you on your journey moving forward? How do we, deal with this? And I think, man, we just go straight to board meeting. We go straight to business meeting. And what happens is because, we kind of bypass step number one, we made, a bunch of, we created a bunch of scenarios with the woman caught in adultery, where there's like this public trial, you know what I'm saying, where repentance doesn't take place in that environment. Contrition, brokenness, people being able to turn around and be connected with Christ. Honestly, in that setting. And I think that if people approached it in love with the goal of saving their brother or sister, as opposed to exposing them or just holding the standard, I think we see a much different result.
Can I say something?
Yeah, jump in.
Okay, I agree 100%. That's exactly what I was going to lead to. Was just the delivery, how things are done. Because I've been read by residents. I had residents tell me they prefer to talk to another dean because they just weren't comfortable or they didn't like how I approach things. And I remember the first time that happened, I was gutted. I didn't like the fact that I came across a certain way, but it was a lesson for me. And I think that it's important for myself included to consider how we approach people. And I think chastising somebody or even giving any kind of critique in love, we can tell when it's done in love. You know what I'm saying? Like young people can tell when you really care about them. When you foster a relationship, you develop relationships with people, that foundation is there. So when you have to, give bad, information, bad news, whatever, it's kind of softens the blow because that relationship is there. So I think that love part, that how it's delivered, how it's packaged, that makes a difference. You arbitrarily coming up to somebody, with a little extra heat than normal. I think that kind of messes it up. But I'm all for, working towards how we present things, how we talk to people, how we communicate, because that's going to make a difference.
So I guess as we transition, can we just begin to talk about healing? How does that process look like? How do we get it done? I mean, you all have shared various versions of experiences and pains, hurts. But what can the church, what can leaders, what can followers do to help this process of healing? I know we talked about a safe place, but I mean, how can it become a reality? And what does healing look like for you all?
Yeah.
I think I think someone mentioned you have a group of, did you say loud minority that kind of sets the stage for the church? But I think somebody may have mentioned this, but I think in order to create a safe space, you have to start holding them accountable the same way you would that pregnant mom out of wedlock. If you're known to be keeping up trouble, the gossip or this, that, and the third, they can be sat down too. I'm gonna sit you down because you keep running your mouth and you're running the people up out of here. Okay, so go have a seat because you're not being Christ-like. I feel like there should be some accountability for them, just the same as all these other accountabilities, especially if we know, yeah, well, that's them. They always talking. That shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be looked over, and there should be consequences behind that, so people can see that. Okay, I better not do that because there's consequences for that too, and that creates a safe space for everybody else. Yeah. I think that should happen.
I think that
I agree.
I think that relationships are very important in church because sometimes, everybody doesn't mix well with everybody, and it's okay. What I found when I was going to church, that forming small relationships, with people kind of helped in the healing process, because maybe in smaller groups you'll find someone who's willing to be vulnerable with you and open and honest about some things. So maybe finding relationships with people can be important, people that you feel that you can trust and things like that. So I think forming relationships with people it's important. I think that might help.
Relationships, accountability. See, right. What does healing look like?
I think I agree with everything that's been said.
I'll put you on the spot. Put you on the spot. Yeah. If I'll jump in then, and I think accountability. I think sincere relationships, safe places. But I also think, and it's gonna sound cliche, but the 316 is there for a reason. Like, we need love. And I know on Conversations we talked about an incident that you experienced, Candace, about jewelry as you were getting ready to sing, and the first person who spoke to you that day was somebody who tells you, pretty in essence, you ain't getting in that choir with that jewelry, with that stuff dangling in your ears. And my point is, to that was, had you walked by how many people? I'm sure it wasn't a small church, right? You walked by how many people, and how many people embraced you? How many people welcomed you and told you they loved you and it's good to see you? How much love did you encounter? And the very oftentimes that's why they say the first impression is important. The first encounter you have is with somebody who tells you your about your jewelry or your clothing. I just think when the spirit speaks to us, I had a situation a while ago where the spirit was heavy on me. He pointed out that somebody was going through something. So a while ago, he pointed out that somebody was going through something, and I said nothing. I allowed my nervousness, the situation being uncomfortable, not to approach the individual. It was the love of God that spoke to me and placed a heavy burden on my heart that person was going through something. I should have approached that person and gave that person exactly what the Spirit of God impressed upon me to give, and that is love. And if more followers of God, followers of Christ, or followers of Jesus would give love to those we come in contact with, it would give a buffer, because there are going to be some people that are just mean. But if the only interactions you have are with the loud minority, then that's what you hear oftentimes. So we need love. I think love is a pivotal or a key component of this healing process.
Yo, but I do want to second something that that I think Candace said. Like, as leaders, we got to kind of stand up to that subculture, to that loud minority, because like when these people run young people from the church, like, you remember what Jesus said? Like, man,
Exactly.
for you to do something to one of these little ones, he says it'd be better for a millstone to be placed around your neck and you thrown into the water. Like, these people need to be treated as enemies of the cross. Like, what I'm saying is, like, too often leaders, for whatever reason, we allow this. We turn the other way. We choose a side. You know what I'm saying? We choose kind of the culture or the stability of the church over, you know what I'm saying, this, that soul that is perishing. And if we never stand up to it, we become complicit in it. Now, again, I think that to your direct question in terms of what does healing look like, so I think it begins two ways. I think the church institutionally and just people, like, because at the end of the day, we talk about the institution, but the institution is just people. It's us. There's got to be an admission. So, like, people talk about where's racial reconciliation or racial healing begins. Like, the institution that perpetuated has got to make an acknowledgement of it. But then for the wounded cannot just revel in their wounds or hurt. The critical component is forgiveness. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you can that And see, the issue is you don't forgive for the sake of them. You forgive for your own health. Like, forgiveness, we talk about it too often in the context as this thing that I'm doing to assuage, the guilt of the offender. Forgiveness is actually something that I do to keep, myself from becoming, fatally poisoned. So, when people talk about it, I think we've all kind of heard the quote that when you refuse to forgive, it's like drinking poison and hoping you get hurt. I don't do that to preserve you. I do that to preserve me, because I think through forgiveness, I get to a position where I can hear God with greater clarity. I can experience the grace of God. And then I think that, you get to a place where you can possibly, see the image of God with greater clarity and not through the lens of the hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with Snell. I'm with you ladies as well. So we're in a really weird space in terms of society, because right now we all just want justice. So I do think we have to be careful to just go on witch hunts, because I feel like that just perpetrates the same thing we're talking about. But I do get it. Like, one of my old members will tell you, man, I had a situation in my church, one of my first churches, and I was about to preach a message, and God was like, don't do it. I went to the book of Acts, and I feel like at the end of the sermon, the appeal was, there's 20 something other churches in this city. If you're not about the work of God and his transforming spirit, you can go pick another church.
Go kick it. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what's crazy? I didn't call nobody out. I didn't say no names. The next Sabbath, the problem people were not in church. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I do believe, like, you are, as a pastor, you're sent there to shepherd, to protect, to do what you got to do. I do think that there is some onus on leadership to say, when it's time, and in some contexts, you got to be more, more tactful with. You can't just, cuss your head elder out, put him down in front of everybody, because that's going to start a war. You can do that, but I don't want to also miss the other side, and that is, God's justice is also restorative. You know what I'm saying? I think Paul says, when you cast somebody out because they're going in this direction, you treat them as an unbeliever, which is you now seek to win them back. And so all I'm saying is, and this is why I love Conversation, like, be the change. Like, you start the conversation, you do the work, you love on the people, you create the space, you do what's necessary. And then let me say this last thing, which I think I started with my last comment. And this is the cliche part that nobody's gonna want to hear. Like, we need more love, yes, but we also need a good definition of love. God is love. At the end of the day, even though we don't want to say the cliche stuff, if everybody's looking Christ in his face full, we don't run into these kind of issues. Or we do, but we're able to move past it in a better way, because he is the one who is doing the work. I think if we're going to sit here and talk about what's the strategies we can put forward to do the work, then I think we're just going to run into this problem over and over again. I think at the end of the day, yes, we have to do things, but each one of us has to also submit to that transformative power. So,
and this is my last two piece. If I'm allowed to say this one last thing, Clark Kicks, I want to say that, before pastoring where I'm pastoring now, I was blessed to be on a pastoral staff, and Lovina would know that our senior pastor for like 3 years said, you know what, a lot of these individuals, we were dealing with some character issues in the church, and a lot of it had to do with either different subcultures, and he began to just preach about character building. People were upset. I mean, how can you preach about character building for 3 years in a row? Every week, almost is the same sermon, character building, right? And it was kind of crazy because at first it was kind of it was heavy. It was an uphill battle. People were upset, but then towards the middle of my pastorate there, you can kind of see the changing of the culture in that church. I mean, I'm talking about a church of almost close to 400 people, and we're talking about this is in Florida, so we have the West Indian, right? And anyone who knows West Indians would know that we are some, we have some of the strongest character personalities. But it was good to see how just talking about being intentional about the changing of the character. It was like water hitting a stone. Mm-hmm. We were trying to erode those rough edges and trying to make that our church atmosphere to be something that is altogether pleasing to the least of these. And so I think a part of it is love, a part of it is accountability, but I think a part of it is also is being intentional about drilling down on the church, on the message that you want your church to be. And pastors, we've got to do that. That's what we've got to do.
As we wind it down, I'm not sure if anybody wants to kind of give their final opinions, final words. Ladies, the people are screaming to hear from you all. They want to hear from you all. Is there anything you all would like to say in closing? Candace looking like child.
No, I agree. Kirsten said it before. I'm thankful for this space to be able to be real with pastors and you guys hearing us out and letting us be real and giving real solutions and seeming like you really care, like, what we think and what we've been through, offering apologies. That has never happened. Okay. So
okay.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And I just want to say I'm in California, so that's why my kids are still up, if anybody's wondering.
I think it gives us hope into the direction that the church is going. I think this makes us feel a lot better, like, okay, this is good. We're changing, we're evolving, and we're growing so that the ministry is able to reach a different group of people now. Because a lot of the way the church is set up now, our traditional people, they yet holding on. So it's a whole, whole new culture of people who are rolling in. And it just gives us hope that we're going to be all right. We can keep holding on, y'all. We're going to be all right. So it's just good. I really appreciate it, y'all. Thank you for inviting us tonight.
Oh, thank you all for coming. We set a record tonight. I don't think we've been on an hour and 53 minutes and counting. But it was a good vibe. You all in the comment section, y'all kept the energy coming. And to each of you all, Pastor Snell, I know you have a very busy schedule. But you're here kicking it with us, Dr. C. Wright, man. Yeah. Thank you so very much. And to the ladies of Conversation, thank you all. When can the people tune in and watch the next episode of Conversation?
I think you're muted.
Am I muted?
No, you're good now.
Okay, so you guys can tune in every Wednesday at 8/7 Central. Every Wednesday night we'll be there and we talk about everything.
What's the statement? Where the conversation? What is it? How y'all say that?
Kid, are you on there? I said you join us every Wednesday night on Conversations where it's lit.
We're lit. And
everything's lit.
It's all lit. It's all lit.
It's all lit.
Wait, it's gotta come on.
It's all lit. All right. Well, thank you all, man, for kicking it with us, man. As we always do before we go, we like to show a shoe. It is kicking it. So, man, who got the shoe today? I know Gio, man. You got a Air Max, man. Is it close by, real quick for the people, man?
Let's just talk about it. It's just Kim Jones. You got the Air 95. These joints are dope. You got the translucent bottoms.
Okay.
And this is the first time hitting on a premium shoe, by the way. Like I've taken L's, all kinds of L's, but and I hit by accident. I wasn't trying to get it. I was trying to see if it was going to let me get it, and I won it. So praise be.
That's a good alibi. That's a good alibi.
Is that what it is?
That's a safe one. I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna use that one next time I buy a shoe. Baby, it was not intentional. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. I just hit buy just by mistake. Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. Denise Johnson, Kristen Josiah, all our Central States heads that are on the chat today. We appreciate the support. Pastor Snell, man, we appreciate you being pastorly and contemporary, and I'm just messing around. Lavina, thank you very much too. Dr. C. Wright.
All right, y'all, man. It's been great kicking it with you all. You all hung in there. To you all watching, man, thank you all for hanging in there. To the mothers, you all were online, multitasking, holding things down. We're grateful for the mothers watching our children while we're on the show. Glory.
Shut up, baby. She's
Thank
right
you
here.
all to them as well. We love you all. Thanks for kicking it with us. And we look forward to next week, same time, same channel. We out.
Oh, we out? Hold on.
We out.
My bad.
DJ.